After trying to survive in my first Deadside server and failing constantly, I nearly quit. But then I decided two things. One, I'm not a quitter, and two, maybe I should just try a different server. I joined a new server and I regretted it instantly. But that was until I practically discovered a gold mine. Actually, several gold mines. Not actual gold, but enough loot that it gave me hope that I can finally survive and build something worth it. Turns out, where I built my new base, I was surrounded by them. Hi everyone, and welcome to my Day in the Life series, episode 2, where I make a fresh start on a new server with the hope that I can finally build a base strong enough to withstand a raid. Jumping onto the game and standing in an open field where your base used to be is not a good feeling. In fact, it makes you want to stop playing the game. That almost happened to me. The server I have been playing on is supposed to be for beginners, but this server clearly wasn't for beginners. It had no wipes and no scheduled raids. I got raided a bunch, and if it was time for me to sleep, I would just get raided and I had to start the next day with nothing. As a solo player on this server, I stood no chance against the big group that kept raiding me. I had to make a move, and I did. I picked a server this time that had scheduled raids. As much as I want to be competitive and play against active players, I need a place where I can stand a chance at least. Having time to not only build a base but upgrade it is what I needed. I hopped on this new server and checked for a place to build my base. My first impression was that this place felt a bit empty. I came across an army camp and I had to fight my way in, just to find basically nothing. I found a bike but not a single fuel canister. To make it harder, I also had the most basic of equipment. For the first time, I needed to cut and chop trees for sticks and logs to be able to build a cabin. That was a new experience. There was also no rope. I had to craft rope from rags, and many times I didn't have enough rope to do anything, but more on that later. After finding nothing valuable, I set forth on foot towards my base spot. As I moved on my way to my base spot, I crossed multiple areas in search for good loot, but I didn't find anything special. This made me doubt myself even more at this point, but I needed to push through. I found a bike and finally one canister of fuel. It's not much, but I'll take what I can get. Night fell and I reached the camp that is relatively near my selected base spot. Here I found somewhat better loot. I stayed here for the night. I need the daylight to scope out my pre-selected area to see if I have good cover and if it looked like a safe area. After running around to see if I have good coverage, I started to build my base on this spot. I have to keep this base as small as possible. Less walls and decks mean less materials needed to upgrade it from sticks to logs, to planks, and to metal. Ultimately, I'd like to get it to bricks, but that to me is a faraway dream at the moment. I actually like base building. I've only built a few, and every time I build one, I learn something. I never have a plan. All I knew was this time I wanted to build upwards. And as I build, I sort of get an idea of what I want. This time I only saw the bigger picture once I put a staircase and a deck. I got on top and I knew this will work, so I laid out the entire base. I had to do some corrections to make sure my base doesn't get too big. I like base building so much because I have a dream in my own life where I build my own house or I renovate a broken down house. I would love to take on a project like that. Back to the game and welcome to my newest base. I love it. Now it's time to make it my home. I can't keep my base on sticks, I need materials ASAP to upgrade it. While I had some daylight left, I went out to see what is around me and I found something I never thought I would. I had no idea what to expect going into this cave. Did someone build a base inside it? Is there a bunch of bots waiting to ambush me? Luckily, it was none of the above. Finally, I found a place with good loot and it's very close to me. This cave leads to another camp that had very good loot as well. Both these areas are super close to me and easy to reach. That's a score for me. I decided that I had looted enough and it was getting dark and time to go home. But I ran into a funny problem. Since it was very dark, I couldn't find my base. I was searching in the dark because I forgot to leave a sleeping bag. Rookie mistake. After finding my base, I waited until it was daylight. I made a few more trips to the cave and camp to find materials to upgrade my base. I started upgrading my base as soon as I got back. From time to time I still had to craft rope or go out to chop trees, but I was able to upgrade all the important parts to log. I added a few necessary items to my base, which you will notice from time to time. Not everything was filmed. Unfortunately, at this point I couldn't continue playing. Little did I know it will be 2 days before I am able to play Deadside again. I was sure that when I returned to the game that I would stand in an empty forest where my cabin used to be. Remarkably, I spawned back in and there I was, inside my cabin. I couldn't believe it. Now I was really motivated to upgrade this cabin. My next mission was simple: gather like a madman. I set out to find new areas for possible loot and I found a massive army base. I mean, huge. It was a bit further away, but totally worth it. So worth it that I knew I had to get a sleeping bag over here. I spent a very long time at this base. It was door after door and loot everywhere. It was a haven for spare parts and wires. I've never seen one area with this much loot. It has scrap metal and rebars too, which meant I will hopefully have enough material to get a metal cabin. Unfortunately, at some point I ended up dying before being able to place a sleeping bag. I had to march all the way back here, which wasted a lot of time and resources. At the end, I made it back to my cabin with good loot and a sleeping bag waiting at the army base. I dropped my loot in my cabin storage and I still didn't have the right materials to upgrade everything to planks. By sheer luck, close to me, I found what felt like a gold mine. I got everything I needed right there. Fuel tanks, nails, rope, rags, and a bunch of other stuff. I knew that I built my cabin in a perfect spot. I had the cave and camp close to me, I had this mining area and a huge army base. All these areas had great loot. I went back to my base and I started working. I placed a woodcutter and a metal planer. I was determined not to lose this place again. And whenever I ran out of anything, I knew exactly where to go to find it. With a woodcutter, it's ridiculously easy to get planks. I took my axe, chopped a minute, and I could upgrade. Getting to this point of the game can be hard at times, but once you are here, things can move nice and quick. With the amount of scrap metal I had, I could upgrade a few walls to metal. But this doesn't mean much since someone will just go through a wall or a deck that's not metal. So now I had to push through and get more until everything is metal. So what is the best spot for this? Of course, the industrial area is the logical choice. Man, did I die a lot. The closest place I had a sleeping bag at this point was the army base. Getting out of that base was a mission, and getting safely to the industrial area was mission impossible. I don't want to tell you how many times I had to start over. But finally, I got to this army base close to it and placed a sleeping bag. It was so difficult getting here, I knew I just had to place a sleeping bag immediately. It wasn't easy staying alive here. I was massively outnumbered by bots. After collecting some decent loot, I decided it's wise to return to my base and see how much upgrades I can do. Arriving back, I immediately got to work, turning all the scrap metal I have into sheet metal and upgrading as much as I could, which is exactly what I did. I had to keep making trips back and forth to the mining area and army base to get more scrap metal, but at the end of the day, I had a base that was upgraded to metal. There were still 2 pieces of my base that needed to be upgraded. Crucial places, and I am glad that I noticed it. It would have been easy access if I didn't do a cabin inspection. But at the end of the day, everything got upgraded. Now a determined and well-equipped team can still break through this place, so it will need a few defensive items. My goal for the next time I play is to get as many of these items as I can. Whatever will help me defend my base. But for now, this is my cabin. This is what it looks like. Hopefully after adding defensive systems I can start to make this metal cabin into a home. I hope you all liked this video. Stay tuned for my next day in the life videos. Take care and happy gaming everybody.